This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports app today and use code SPOTIFY and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So Russ, you know there is nothing I hate more than a bully. Bullies are literally the worst people on earth. Well, a town in Missouri, they hated a bully too. And they decided after years of being terrorized by this guy, they were going to take matters into their own hands. This is the case of the murder of Ken Rex McElroy. Hello. Welcome back to Wife of Crime.
Why are your shoulders crunched up and you're like acting weird?
What's
everyone? I guess we forgot how to do this.
I wanted to make a fun intro. Hi, everybody.
People couldn't see your body language. That's
I know,
this ain't TV.
know. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, everyone. A true crime podcast where I tell my husband my favorite true crime stories and he reacts to them. We've been gone for a minute. Now we're back.
Yeah, so we're back. I was still here, guys. Jess wouldn't tell me a story. I would have commented some dumb stuff then too.
It's true. He's been here quarantined in the Bronx. He's been home all the time.
Nuh-uh.
Well, now that it's summertime, you've been out biking and living your best life.
Oh my God, who's having a better time in quarantine than me? No one.
No one. You're having the best time of your life.
I went and bought like fishing poles and stuff. I don't even catch fish, and when I touch them, it kind of bothers my hand, but it just seemed like a cool thing to do.
So yeah, we've been gone for a long time. I first of all want to say thank you to everybody who's messaged us, who's been asking us where we are, and just been really concerned. We did read every single message and every comment, and we are happy to be back, and we did miss you guys so much. I'm going to get into it in a little bit of why we took a break, but I just wanted to stop and say thank you to everybody because it means a lot to us. Like, we didn't even realize that people cared that much about hearing us talk.
Yeah, it's true because we got a lot of messages and I read them all. And I normally don't respond to the messages on Instagram because Jess says my messages are too short and they're rude. It's usually like yes, no, maybe nah, or a lot of words like word. Word means like I hear you. Like, if you're like, oh, Russ, you're so cool. I'm like, word. But it's been awesome to see all those messages. And that's probably what made Jess come back and do this again.
It's true. Yeah. There was a time where, if I'm being totally honest, there was a few week period of time where I was like, you know what? I just don't think I can come back and do this anymore. But getting so many messages about how much people missed us really got me inspired to keep going. So I really appreciate it. And we also appreciate everyone who bought merch. Even while we weren't recording episodes, people still bought merch, which is crazy. And we just thank you guys so much for that.
That was cool. I messaged a couple people with that. I mean,
really
I do
cool.
message some of the people that listen to the podcast, like on my regular Instagram. We talk here and there. And
no, you do.
I tell them put whiskey in the cup. It's
true.
a coffee cup, but not really. It's, you could take your kids to school, throw some whiskey in it, and not get judged.
You do an Irish coffee. Jameson. Sounds good. Also, there is a group of nurses in Vermont that listen to us, and they listen to us together. And they bought me, they sent me through Venmo, which I didn't even know they could find me, but they did. They found me on Venmo, and they sent me $15 so that you and I could have coffee, or it actually went towards alcohol.
That's
but
pretty
I
cool.
appreciate the thought about the coffee, but it definitely went towards alcohol. But just like, it's crazy. Like, I've never met these people. So you guys are so awesome that you guys would even do something like that. I can't even tell you how much it means to me.
Yeah, they're really like the homies.
Yeah, it's so cool. So why did I take a break? I'm going to tell you we're going to talk a little bit in the beginning. So everyone who hates that we talk in the beginning, sorry, but we're going to talk a little bit in the beginning because I'm going to tell you why I took a break. So back in, I don't remember when our last episode was. I think it was April or so. That's when COVID was getting really bad here in New York City. And I know a lot of people who aren't in New York City saw it on the news, like how bad we got here. And, I'm an ER nurse, so I'm the first group to see the repercussions of a pandemic. And there was a few week span of time where we were just, seeing so many people die. People were dying alone. I had my own patients who were dying every single shift. And it was really hard for me to come home after seeing all this death at work and, people being lonely and scared in the hospital, and then coming home and researching murder and true crime. So I kind of needed to take like a mental health break. Plus, Russ is at home and I'm exposed to all this stuff. And I had literal constant anxiety on my shoulders every single shift, worried that I was going to bring it home to him. Because at the time, I was unsure. We were seeing people of all ages get sick and die and get very critical. So I'm not sure how Russ would have handled having coronavirus. So for me to be exposed to it every day, it was really scary to think that I was going to bring it home to him. So I had that anxiety on my shoulders, and it just got really overwhelming. So that's when the break started, was then.
I think we had an episode in the beginning of it.
We did, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we've had multiple leaks in our condo.
Oh, yeah. A whole damn condo had to get gutted.
The whole condo had to get gutted. And like as the weather got warmer, there was mold growing in our condo. Our floors were getting more warped. So it was just like a mess. So I was stressed out at work. I was stressed out at home. And the podcast just went on the back burner. And
Well, if anyone wants to know how I was doing, I was enjoying those stimulus checks and playing video games and making fun of little kids and going for runs and bike rides. So I was doing all right.
You were making fun of little kids on video games.
And video games.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd make fun of them in real life, too. Who
I
cares?
know, but I was just specifying.
Yeah. And then, so at that point, like, I had nowhere to make my smart-ass comments. I was about to, we'll hold up a sign. We'll make smart-ass comments for likes. Like, unemployed podcast co-host.
It was funny. So then we were like, okay, let's come back. But then the George Floyd murder happened. And when that happened, I was like, I can't release an episode right now. Like, there are way more important. This man was murdered on camera, on a phone camera. And it was the most devastating video I've ever seen. And it just, all the protests and everything, which I fully support, I couldn't bring myself to release an episode at that time. So that it was just a lot at once, a lot of heavy stuff happening at once. And I didn't want to bring more heaviness into the world. Even though having Russ as my co-host makes our podcast less heavy, I didn't want to research, because I'm the researcher, I didn't want to research more heavy stuff. So that's why we took a break. But we're back. But I don't know, to be honest, if we're going to do it weekly. We are talking about coming back as a bi-weekly podcast because it is a lot of work and I don't want to get burnt out. And I think for a while we might do it bi-weekly and see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, there may be times where we do more than one.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. There may be a time where, because there were times where we put out 2 in 1 week, so it really depends on what's going on.
It does. It depends on what's going on in our life.
But you heard this, folks. She's committing to a bi-weekly podcast. So if you don't get the podcast, you hit up Wife of Crime because Jess checks it every day. And you say, just like this, where's my damn podcast?
But we got a lot of really good reviews. We've actually gotten tons of new listeners, which
and
is
all
crazy.
The good reviews. Like, thanks for the reviews.
Yes.
Even the lady that gave us 2 stars that likes us, but she gave us 2 stars because an episode was missing.
Yeah.
She liked us so much that she was mad that an episode was missing. So if you're listening, you could skip this podcast from now on because you're weird. Everyone else, hang out.
No, it was a weird review. Like, you love us, but you gave us 2 stars because an episode was missing. And to be honest, Apple Podcasts puts our episodes out of order, and I don't know how to fix it because I'm not tech savvy at all. So right now, our podcast is kind of out of order on Apple Podcasts, but I don't know how to fix it. So
yeah,
sorry.
She said our podcasts are out of order.
I don't know how to fix it. Sorry. Don't know. No, don't go to Spotify. Listen on Spotify. Go to Castbox. I can't help you, but they're out of order, and I can't fix it.
Or we don't even put ads in this thing or nothing. We're just like 2 people at a kitchen table, and I'm usually drunk.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we don't get paid. We barely make money off the merch. Like, we just do this for fun.
Oh, we don't make
We'd
money
have
off
no
nothing.
ads.
All the stuff we bought.
So, yeah, this is just for fun, and your mean reviews are annoying. Okay.
They really don't bother me. I think they're funny, and if you give one like that, I normally just think you're a stupid person, which is entertaining to me because stupid people are funny.
Okay, let's move on. So the plan for the future episodes is bi-weekly. So a lot has happened in true crime since we've been gone, like the release of the HBO docuseries I'll Be Gone in the Dark. We watched episode 1. It's so good.
It was slow.
It was not slow. It's about Michelle McNamara. It was so good.
The audio book was like the best book of all time, and it scares me in my sleep today. If I see a shadow or something, I get scared that someone's standing over me.
It's true. So he is a scary motherfucker.
The audio book was amazing. The docuseries, it's a little slow, but I also don't love documentaries.
You don't. You're not a documentary guy. I love documentaries. So for me, I was super happy with the first episode. I haven't watched the second episode yet.
It was cool that they're covering her life and like what she was doing because she died before the book came out.
And that she was a web sleuth, like, Billy Jensen. She was like a web sleuth who pretty much because of her, this case is solved because of her and her book. Like,
yeah, she was like one of the people from like Don't Fuck with Cats. Like
yeah, she was like that. So another thing that happened is the Vanessa Guillen story. And if you're interested in hearing all the details about that case, definitely check out my girl, Margot, at Military Murder, because Vanessa Guillen was a private first class. She was murdered on the Fort Hood military base. And Military Murder covered this case in depth. So if you're interested, I'm not going to cover this case because Margot already did it and she did a phenomenal job. And there's no point in me even trying to do it. So go and listen to this episode. Well, go and listen to all of Military Murder. But if you're interested in this case, she covered it in depth.
Did this happen recently?
It just happened. Literally, her remains were found like a couple days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The poor girl has been missing. The military...
For a long time?
Yeah, the military they are really dropping the ball.
Corrupt?
Well, they just have a terrible, archaic justice system with archaic rules. And Fort Hood now has 2 soldiers whose remains were found that went missing.
Damn.
And hers were just found. She's only 21 years old. It's awful case, but
Well, hopefully the backstory comes out and whoever
I think it was a boyfriend.
It's always the boyfriend.
I think it was, but I'm not positive.
If I get killed, everyone knows it's Jess. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, it would.
I'm never going to kill you. It doesn't really matter what you do. I won't kill you.
Yeah, because I'm too fast. I could run.
Whatever. I'm never going to kill you. So it wouldn't be me. Another thing that happened, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell are in custody. They're the ones who were in that doomsday cult, and the kids have been missing since September, and I posted about it.
Yo, them pieces of shit.
Yeah, they're pieces of shit. They're in custody, thank God. So that's good. And then the last thing that's came out is Unsolved Mysteries series on Netflix. It's so good. Everyone go and watch it. That's it. That's all the true crime news.
Okay. She was quiet waiting for my response.
I was.
Sometimes, because I don't have it, and then sometimes you just, when I do have something to say, you just don't stop talking, and I forget what I was going to say.
I just, and I can't stop. I know.
Yeah.
So right before we started recording, I posted on Instagram, if you have any questions, ask us questions and we'll answer them on the podcast. So I only wrote down 3 because we had to start recording. So Russ, do you want to go to Vermont and hang out or have a Zoom party with the Vermont nurses and social worker and friends that work at the hospital?
I'm probably not going to go to Vermont to hang out with people because that's far. I don't even go to drive to visit my mom that often, and she's like an 8-hour drive. A Zoom party, sober, definitely not because I keep to myself.
He's an introvert.
But if I was drunk, I'd be like, hey, guys. I'd be like a dummy.
When Russ gets drunk, he's like the life of the party. When he's sober, he doesn't speak to anyone. We have people in our complex that now, the other day,
oh my God,
he got really drunk the other day and became like neighbor of the year, most popular guy in the complex. And like the next day, he doesn't remember talking to any of them, but they
so
all
annoying.
know him now.
I do my best to like not be friends with my neighbors because like sometimes you just want to like walk your dog or go to the store real fast and not have a 15-minute conversation. So I try to like just nod, you know, give a little wave. So I go fishing right outside. So we live like in a little water area. And I guess I was drunk fishing, talking to this dude the next time he comes back. And he's like he stops over and comes to talk to him. I'm like, huh, he's over here hanging out. And then like I spoke about something. He's like, oh yeah, you told me that. I was like, oh. And if you ever listen to this podcast, that's going to be weird as shit now.
It is going to be weird.
I'm not telling anyone I do a fucking podcast.
All right, another question. Have you ever had Vegemite on toast? This is from a girl from Australia.
No, because I'm pretty low carb.
Do you even know what Vegemite is?
No, I don't, but I assume it's probably hipster toast, like avocado toast of Australia.
I don't know. I've never had Vegemite either. I think it's like a brown spread.
It sounds like a bug.
I don't know. And then when Russ says he will show them the smoke, is that a Bronx thing or a Russ thing?
I didn't make that up.
No, you didn't. That's a Bronx thing.
I don't know if it's a Bronx thing, but I feel like I only know what goes on in New York because I mind my business.
Because you don't leave New York. Actually, we just went to the Poconos, so you did leave New York recently.
And I went to Pittsburgh.
And you went to Pittsburgh.
And I'm never going back. I hated it.
All right. So, all this talking now. We're done with all the talking, and I'm about to tell you about this case. I think you're really going to like this one. I've been excited to tell you about this one for the last 2 days.
All right. Well, I haven't done true crime since this podcast, so.
So, you're ready for a true crime story.
I just like doing the podcast and like talking to the people and the interactions.
Yeah, true. Well, I'm going to tell you about the killing of Ken Rex McElroy. So, is street justice justified?
Yes.
If it's warranted?
Every single time. If the community came together and killed someone that deserved it, I'm all for it.
So you believe it's okay for people to take justice into their own hands if someone deserves it?
100% every time.
But where do you draw the line? Like where do you say, like, it can be a very slippery slope.
Draw the line at the crime they committed?
Yeah,
or
like how
it?
do you decide like this person deserves to be killed by a community? Like where do you draw the line?
Well, like if you play music loud in front of my window for hours like these people do, we should kill them.
That's ridiculous.
Me and my neighbor should kill them.
Exactly. That's why I am not with the vigilante justice because, like,
no, but if you hurt a kid, you like killed a kid, or or if you murdered someone and the cops ain't getting you, community could come together and kill them. I don't care.
Well, normally I'm on the side of let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's leave it to the justice system, even though I know the justice system has some corruption. But when it comes to the case of Ken Rex McElroy and the town of Skidmore, Missouri, I'm definitely co-signing this murder.
Skidmore, huh?
Skidmore, Missouri.
Sounds like dirty underwear.
So the case I'm going to tell you is about a town bully, a man that made people's lives absolutely miserable and terrorized this small town for literal years and years.
I know the beginning of what you're telling me, and I know the guy disappeared, I think.
No?
Because I know there was a bully that like a community took care of, and that's all I know.
Well, this is probably the story, but I'm going to tell you all the details of this case.
All right.
And this town did handle this situation because they had enough. The police abandoned them. The justice system didn't help them. And they were like, finally, after years, enough is enough. Are you ready?
Yeah. In the Bible, they stoned people, so.
It's true. So Ken Rex McElroy was murdered in 1981 in broad daylight in front of more than 60 witnesses, okay, in the small town of Skidmore, Missouri. To this day, the case remains unsolved. None of the people in this town will say who killed Ken McElroy.
Much respect. No snitches
Not
either.
a single one will talk. So I got my info, and my sources are from a docuseries called No One Saw a Thing that Sundance did, and BuzzFeed Unsolved did this case, and they did a great job on it. So first, let me tell you a little about this guy and give you an idea of why everyone hated this scumbag, because he really was like a total scumbag. So Ken Rex McElroy was born June 1st, 1934, to a family of farmers. He was the 15th of 16 children, okay? They moved to this rural town of Skidmore, Missouri when he was really young. And this is near the Ozarks. You've heard of the Ozarks.
Yeah, Netflix.
We're from the show Ozark. I don't know anything else about the Ozarks. I know that they have like lake parties with boats. And I just know from the show Ozark.
And they smuggle money and embezzle money and stuff.
And probably grow drugs on their farms.
No, this is just a TV show. Just keep going.
I know. So by the time Ken was 8 years old, he dropped out of school at 8. Okay. He spent his days working the farm. And then when he was 18, he was working on a construction site when suddenly a huge steel slab fell on him, giving him multiple injuries, including a traumatic brain injury. So the National Institutes of Health and National Library of Medicine did a study on traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs, and the resulting personality changes and predisposition to violent behavior.
Wow.
So what is a TBI? It is an assault.
To be honest. No, wait, that's TBO.
Yeah, that's TBH.
H. Damn it. What's wrong with me?
So a TBI is an assault on the actual brain tissue that comes from an outside mechanical force, like a blow to the head by an object or a car crash.
Like me.
Or a fall, yeah, like you.
My whole left side of my forehead is a metal plate. I cracked my orbital bone in a car accident.
He did. He cracked his orbital bone, and fun fact, he's a bionic man with a metal plate in his head.
Yeah, so I guess before this, I probably used to be really nice.
Well, multiple studies show that these types of injuries result in an onset of new psych disorders, such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, but also other things like poor memory, poor attention, lack of concentration, poor decision making, lack of control of social behavior.
You're describing me.
I know. When I was reading all of these studies, I was like, eek! So, in a study conducted in Finland of 12,000 males, a TBI during childhood or adolescence increased the risk of a mental disorder or violent offenses by 4 times. Isn't that crazy? 4 times. Several of history's most famous serial killers suffered TBIs. And I'm going to name them for you. Fred West, John Wayne Gacy, Anders Breivik, Richard Ramirez, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Kemper, Jerry Brudos, Gary Heidnik, Ed Gein, all had traumatic brain injuries when they were adults or teens or early 20s.
I had mine in my early 20s.
You did. Also, let's not forget all of the football players with the CTE stuff. Aaron Hernandez had a ton of.
I think Junior Seau, he had the same thing, and he shot himself in the chest so they could study his brain because he was like going nuts.
And he like committed suicide, but he intentionally shot it in the chest so they could study his brain, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Wife of Crime #1 for 15% off your first order. So there was a lot to read about with regards to head trauma and serial killers and violent offenders.
You can just delete that, I guess, or leave it.
So there's a lot to read about with regards to head trauma, serial killers, and violent offenders. And I'm super interested in this, so I could go on forever and ever, but you get the point. I do, however, want to make sure I specify that I am not condoning any of this behavior or justifying it in any way. All I'm saying is that it's just another way to understand these killers and their minds and violent offenders and why they do the things they do.
There's no excuse because everyone has, well, maybe not everyone, but sometimes someone does something and you're like, I should punch this person in the face. And I think that a lot, but I don't punch people.
Yeah, you have self-control.
Yeah, but even if people deserve it.
It's true.
So you got to control yourself.
It's true. Like there comes a point where you need to just take responsibility for your actions and that's it. But, you know, these studies show that TBIs do contribute to this type of violent behavior and stuff.
Huh.
Okay.
Now I have an excuse at least.
No, you don't.
I might hit someone.
No, you won't.
I'm probably not.
All right, so back to the case. So Ken McElroy, he was a huge dude. He was like 6 foot something. I don't know exactly how tall, but he weighed 270 pounds. He was a giant bully and he loved intimidating people. He had this superiority complex and he loved using it. Like he loved using his bigness to intimidate.
He's acting like he's in school. That's like what big doofs do in school.
I know. It makes me think of Billy Madison. O'Doyle rules. Remember?
No, I have a bad memory. I have a TBI. I don't remember.
Well, other people are listening, and they know Billy Madison, and they know the bully, the family of bullies.
I was thinking Bobby Boucher.
No, in the movie Billy Madison, there's a family of bullies, and they're like these giant fat redheads.
Is that the golf movie?
Doyle rules. Yeah, that's no. Billy Madison is the one where he goes back to school, where Adam Sandler goes back to school because his dad's rich and he's a dummy, and so his dad's like, "I'll only give you the company if you go back to school."
Oh.
So anyway, so he, that's what he reminds me of. So he made a living off of leasing his land to people, but he also raced dogs, and he stole other people's property. He stole other people's livestock, grain, alcohol, gasoline, antiques, and then he would sell them. So he would just go steal your shit and then sell it, and that's how he made a bunch of money. He was constantly in trouble with the law. He was charged with various crimes at least 3 times a year. He was indicted 21 times. But only convicted once. He always bragged about his lawyer, a guy named Richard Gene McFadden.
I was just thinking that. I was like, his lawyer must be the best.
His lawyer was the best. His name was Richard Gene McFadden. He was a criminal defense attorney from Kansas City.
Fuck you, McFadden, getting bad people off.
Right, and he represented multiple mob associates. So Ken loved to tell everybody that his lawyer is going to get him off, and he's the best because he represents the mob, and he's like this amazing lawyer. And he did. He always got him off. So I don't know how he did it. So not only did he bully everyone, steal everybody's stuff, he had this lawyer who kept him out of jail. So it even like furthered his superiority complex, made him feel like he was invincible. He would often intimidate witnesses of his crimes. He would stalk them. He would sit outside of their house with a shotgun. He would shoot off the shotgun right in front of their house.
Where's the police?
They were afraid of him. The police were even afraid of him.
And they needed new police.
Yeah.
Those police were Herbs.
No, the police literally were afraid of him. The local
Herb
law
in New York
enforcement.
means like you're a punk. It isn't like a seasoning or something like that.
It's true. People.
I say herb every now and then, and it's not like.
Not an herb, a herb. There's a difference. So, anyway. So, if it wasn't bad enough that he did all these terrible things, he did more serious things. He was also a serial rapist.
What?
Who would molest teenage girls ages 12 to 14. And on a few occasions, 2 of them he married so that they wouldn't testify against him. So he had 2 child brides who were 14 when he started having sex with them. He fathered 19 children with multiple young girls.
Oh, he didn't pay no child support. We know that.
No, but he was also molesting 14-year-old girls and getting them pregnant. He was a disgusting human being. One of the girls who he ended up marrying, her name was Trina McLeod. And before he married her, her parents obviously were like, no, you're not marrying our 14-year-old daughter. So he went to their house, he burned it down, and shot their dog.
Yo.
And then married her anyway. And that became his wife. And he had 2 wives at the same time, and they were both teenage girls.
That's like some caveman shit. Like you hit your wife, the girl over the head, you drag her out by her hair, and now that's your woman.
Yeah. Like, crazy. And he would abuse them all the time. He shot 2 people. One of them was a farmer named Romaine Henry. He came on Romaine's property to steal his stuff. Romaine came out with a gun and told him to leave. He shot him in the stomach with a shotgun.
Wow.
Like, he was a total piece of shit. Local law enforcement was afraid of him, like I said, because he was always armed and he never hesitated
but they're armed
to shoot
too.
at them. No, he always shot at them, and they were afraid of him.
NYPD would have shot the shit out of him. They don't hesitate to shoot.
That's true. Yeah, NYPD, they would have definitely shot him. But anyway, so local law enforcement, too afraid of him. And for over 2 decades, the people of the community felt totally abandoned by the police and by the justice system because no one would stand up to this guy. But then, on April 25th, 1980, everything would start to change. A general store owner named Ernest Bowenkamp.
Get him, Ernie.
Had a confrontation with Ken. So his store clerk, her name was Evelyn, she asked one of Ken's daughters to pay for or return a piece of candy that she put in her pocket because the little girl was going to steal it.
Well, she was a little bully shit too.
Yeah, just like her father.
Fuck them kids too.
So she was going to steal it, and Evelyn told her to either pay for it or put it back. And when Kenneth heard about this, he got so angry that he went to Bo Bowenkamp's house and started stalking his family, sitting outside in his truck with a shotgun, shooting off the shotgun, like just trying to intimidate the family because he was mad over candy. Yeah. So he would stalk them. He would park outside their home. Like I said, he did this for like 3 months, constantly just terrorizing them. And then on July 8th, 1980, Ken went into the alley behind the general store, threatened Bo Bowenkamp, and then shot him in the neck at close range with a shotgun.
That'd blow your head off.
But it didn't. Bo Bowenkamp, he lived.
So now we have a survivor story.
We do. Survivor story.
Not me, not today.
Yes. Bo Bowenkamp was like, not me, not today, bitch.
Bobo better get him.
So he survived miraculously. And then Ken McElroy was arrested and charged with attempted murder. He continued to try and intimidate the family, right? He made bail. He was out on bail. He continued to try to intimidate the family and witnesses, and he ended up getting his trial postponed for 5 more months, okay? 5 months further than his trial was scheduled for.
He was out of jail then. He probably got bail or...
Yeah.
How did he let that
life out? I don't know. It's his lawyer, man. I need his lawyer in case I ever get into anything.
You guys dropped the ball.
So within 5 months, the lead prosecutor on the case resigned, and a new prosecutor was hired and took the case. And his name was David Baird. He had only been out of law school for 3 years. He was a new guy. He had a lot of spunk. I think he was like really trying to get this guy.
It's always funny how they say like young people don't have energy. Like they have spunk. What are you, 80 years old? Old people always very spunky.
Well, this guy, he was only a lawyer for 3 years, and he was ready to get him. So on June 25th, 1981, does that day sound familiar?
Oh, shit, that's my birthday.
Your actual birthday, like the day you were born.
That's the day I was born.
This young prosecutor did what no one had been able to do before him. He convicted Ken Rex McElroy of his first crime. He had never been convicted of a crime before.
That's nuts.
So the prosecutor, in order to make sure he secured a conviction, he lowered the charge, unfortunately. So it went from attempted murder to second-degree assault. But he wanted to ensure this conviction because this lawyer must be so good that there was a chance he wouldn't have been able to get him convicted.
But if it's a guarantee that someone did something, it shouldn't matter how good the lawyer is. Like, you did it.
Well, this guy, must have been really confident in his ability to defend him. So he lowered the charge to ensure that he would get convicted. And he did get convicted. But unfortunately, the maximum sentence is 2 years. And the judge freed him on a $40,000 bond pending an appeal. So now he's on the street still. So even though, the charge was lowered, he got out on bail. It's crazy. He still got out. He didn't end up going to jail. And there was a quote where he said, "The jury convicted me and gave me 2 years, but I'll never go to jail. I'll appeal and get off. I've been fighting the law since I was 13 and I'm damn near 50. I've been arrested for over 53 felonies. This is the first time I've ever lost. I'm never going to jail."
He lived too long.
Right? So after he was released, McElroy was seen at a bar called D&G Tavern. And get this, he's sitting at the bar. He literally just got released from jail on bond. He's sitting at the bar with with a rifle with a bayonet attached to it. You know what a bayonet is?
What is this guy in the Confederate Army with a musket?
Well, he has a rifle with a bayonet attached to it, bragging about how he's about to go kill Bo Bowenkamp. So the cops come, they arrest him again because he's threatening to kill Bo Bowenkamp. He gets arrested again. He gets released again. Okay. So now, on July 10th, 1981, the town had enough. They were like, this is too much. This is crazy. And they ended up all meeting at a town hall. Okay.
With pitchforks and torches, and they're going to go get this
pretty much. So 60 Skidmore residents attended this town hall meeting. And it included the mayor and the sheriff. They all were there. And they were trying to figure out what they could legally do to prevent Ken McElroy from hurting anyone. And this is insane to me. The sheriff suggests a neighborhood watch. The sheriff.
You are the neighborhood watch.
You are the watch. Like, when I read that, I was like, okay.
Like, do your job?
So the sheriff suggested a neighborhood watch.
Did he get fired that day?
I don't think so. But I think I mean, I know if it were me, right? If I'm at this town hall trying to devise a plan of how to get this guy arrested or whatever, and I hear the sheriff say, we need a neighborhood watch, in my mind, I'm just going to be like, we got to just kill this motherfucker. Like, there's nothing, no one is helping.
The problem is, I would have been like, I'll do it.
Crazy, right? So after the meeting adjourned, the whole group were told that Ken and his wife Trina were at the bar, D&G Tavern, right down the street, getting drinks. So all 60 people in a big mob walked down to the tavern, and they surrounded his truck, and he was inside drinking.
They can get him because no way that musket with the bayonet holds 60 shots. He can't get them all.
Well, he didn't. This was a different day. He didn't have the gun at this time.
Oh.
He's just having drinks with his wife. So they come out. The 60 people let him finish his drink. He comes out. He gets in his truck.
See how polite this town is? They even let you finish your damn drink.
Right. He gets in his truck and he lights a cigarette. And then suddenly, out of the crowd, someone aims at Ken's head and multiple shots were fired. A man named John Clement grabbed Trina McElroy, his wife, and walked her to safety. And Ken McElroy was dead at 47 years old. Bullet cases from 2 guns were found at the scene. No one called an ambulance. And no one came forward except his wife to say who they thought committed the crime.
They should have killed her too.
It's funny, when you watch the documentary, one of the residents says, we should have killed her too. Or whoever killed her should have killed her too.
Yeah,
killed him, should have killed her.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Well, no, listen, I'm going to say this because you have to remember Trina McElroy was 14 years old being molested by this man.
This is Trina?
Yes, but she
I thought he had a lot of wives.
He had 2. He molested multiple girls, but he had 2 wives. She's been with him for years, and he started molesting her when she's 14 and then married her. She has like Stockholm syndrome. She's mothered his children. She's loyal to him because he's manipulated her. So
I could see why you would
it's like a
feel
Stockholm syndrome situation where you're in so much toxicity, and you know, as a 14-year-old girl, like 14-year-old girls are young and dumb. It's a very sick situation. So I'm cutting her some slack.
I could see why you would feel that way.
I'm cutting her slack.
But to me, it just would have been a casualty of war.
Anyway.
First of all, she tried to snitch.
Well, she did. So there was only one suspect, a man named Del Clement. And Del Clement was described as kind of like a hot-tempered dude. Like, he liked to drink, he carried a gun, he didn't bother people, but he was an impulsive, kind of hot-tempered guy. And he was the only person that
had some balls.
No one ever said who did it, and no one ever alluded that he did it, but multiple investigations, like, kind of point to him. But he was never charged. Not a single witness ever came forward, and Del died in 2005 and denied any involvement in the killing all the way up until his death. On his deathbed, he even denied it.
It was, in my opinion, it was the sheriff's job to shoot him. Your job is to protect the community, so you should have shot him.
I agree with you. So, like, do you think this was planned or an impulse? Like, I think it might have been impulsive. I don't know if it was planned at that meeting that day. Everyone says it wasn't planned that day at the meeting.
I feel like it was most likely planned. And they went there, and, like, what were they going to go there? And everyone just, rubble, 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 rubble. You don't do this again, rubble, rubble. Like, shut up. Just shoot him. Yeah,
but do you think that in that town hall meeting they planned to kill him? Or do you think that they were, in my mind, this is how I think it might have played out. Once the sheriff said, let's do a neighborhood watch, everybody probably looked at each other like, literally like, what the
They should have shot the sheriff.
WTF. The sheriff isn't even protecting us. It probably made people really angry. And then they walked out there. They saw him. They had an opportunity, and somebody was ballsy enough to take it.
Yeah, but Was their meeting right near the bar? 'Cause it seemed like if they... Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was like right down the street. Like right down the block.
I don't know. I would have been like, fuck it, I'll do it. Come on.
Well, the FBI got involved. The case was heard by 3 different grand juries, but because of lack of cooperation from the town, no one was ever indicted. His wife, Trina, filed a $6 million wrongful death suit, but settled out of court for $17,600.
Wrongful death? She shouldn't have got a
1984.
penny because it isn't that like for if like a cop kills him or something? No one knows.
Yeah.
It might have been Bobo.
It might have been Bobo. But
Bobo should have did it.
I mean, Bobo...
He probably couldn't breathe. He had no neck.
He had no... Yo, can you imagine being shot in the neck by a shotgun? That's crazy.
You can't imagine that.
No, it's nuts. So, I know where you stand, like, with regards to vigilante street justice.
Yeah, I think they took too long.
But I'll ask our listeners... I mean, I'm not gonna hear your response, but I'm curious... Is street justice justified if it's warranted? In this case, do you think it was justified? I do. I think it was justified. I'm 100% with you, and I'm normally totally not with you on things like this.
She's not with me on anything. She disagrees on everything. So,
well, I agree with you on this. I'm with you. I think that this was totally warranted. These people were terrorized, and he deserved it. He was a piece of shit. Like, I think it was the whole molesting children thing that really sent me over the edge. Like, at one point, it's like, oh, you steal people's stuff and sell it, like you're a scumbag and you're an asshole, but then you're molesting children, so
no,
you
but he'll
deserve
shoot
to
you
die.
in the stomach too. Like he'll shoot you if you try to like fight back.
Yeah.
So they should have like made an example of him, tied him to a car and drive him around town, drag him by a rope.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, with this kind of moral dilemma, like, it can go too far. Imagine our condo association hates the way we decorate our deck, and all of a sudden they're showing up with... Like, it's a slippery slope with stuff like this.
No, that's not the slope. That's the wrong one. Maybe for, like, stealing. If dude stole something, you kill him, but no.
Yeah, I guess, like, stealing isn't enough to be killed.
Yeah, you're talking about decorating.
But I think that this case is really interesting. I find it fascinating that all these people witnessed this, and they have so much loyalty to one another that they just had each other's back for the last 40 years. This happened 40 years ago.
Well, now they're all dead.
No.
Except the kids.
They're not. When you watch the docuseries, they're not all dead.
But most of them are dead.
There are people who were there. This was 40 years ago. They might have been in their 20s. They're in the 60s.
What I'd be interested to ask them, do you think anyone in the town knows who did it?
They all know who did it.
No, but I would be curious to see if they'd be like, yeah, we know who did it, and we ain't telling.
Well, no, I think because I watched some of the series, and a lot of them say, no, I don't know who did it. But like the face they make, you can tell they know who did it.
I would have said D's did it. I would have got them.
But no one knows what that means.
Yeah, they do. People know who D's is.
Who's D's?
I ain't doing this to immature. Look it up.
So, like I said, you guys can watch this multi-part docuseries by Sundance. It's called No One Saw a Thing. It's really good. It's cool because it shows all the different sides. Like, you see his children and how they feel about everything. You see interviews.
Are they upset?
Of course, it was their dad. They don't look at their dad
Shoot
as
them
a
too.
scumbag. He had 19 children. His children.
Are they terrible people?
I don't think they're terrible people. I don't know them, and they don't talk about who they are now.
All right, so don't shoot them.
But they witnessed him abusing their moms.
Who's the little candy stealing bitch that made him shoot Bobo?
I don't know.
I don't know. I like saying Bobo.
I don't know if she's in the series or not. I didn't.
She might listen to this and come get me.
She might. But it's interesting to see all the sides. You get to see interviews with his kids, with townspeople, with people who were there. It's pretty interesting.
Is it a series or one episode?
Nah, I think it's like 4 parts or 5 parts. I know you have no attention span with that stuff.
So what happens is in docuseries, they just expand 1 hour's worth of material into like 8 hours, and it's like, you could have told me this all already. You had all this background music that I listened to and slow motion driving through the town. I would have known what happened already. Put some respect on my time.
Now everybody knows the case, so But if you want to get more details and see interviews with other people in law enforcement and everything, you can watch the series.
I need like the Cliff Notes. Well, I guess this was the Cliff Notes.
Well, this was the Cliff Notes, exactly.
Just notes.
I gave you the 25-minute version.
That was pretty good. This episode's probably long.
Not bad.
Oh, pretty good.
But, yay.
So we're back, folks. And a lot of people hit me up. Vote for Russ is still alive.
It is.
Hashtag vote for Russ.
Especially, like, we got some... It's pretty slim pickings for this election this year, so...
Yo, I can't be any worse than what's going on in the world right now. Hashtag vote for Russ. He's for us. It'll get better. I'll send you some cheddar.
All right, everyone. Well, I will research another case, and we will be back with you guys in 2 weeks. I hope you have a wonderful week. Everyone, please stay safe with everything going on.
Check us on the gram, and Instagram is Wife of Crime Pod. Facebook is...
Wife of Crime, the crime family.
We neglect that one a little bit.
A little bit.
But I think that's all we got. Thanks for tuning in again, and all the love.
And we missed you guys. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.